But you see how much kidnappers are picking from victims.
My thing is, government should, I think, all the stakeholders in this, get that, and I think we get that. The 3% for the oil producing community is too low.
So the support that is needed, and once again, the support your airline people will blossom.
This is Nigeria. You need to give people sense of belonging.
Welcome. Good morning, viewers. My name is Bode Gbadebo. Welcome to Tuesday edition of Inside Nigeria. With me in the studio this morning is our regular guest analyst, Atekojo Samson Usman, a lawyer, public affairs analyst, and journalist with the Daily Post newspaper. Good morning, Mr. Atekojo.
Good morning. It's a pleasure having me again.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. All right, as usual, we shall be dissecting leading stories on some of the national dailies and as well discuss an issue or stories trending for the day. And which how do we starting with newspaper review? I'm starting with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, The Leadership. On the front page of Leadership this morning, students stage nationwide protest seek end to federal government ASU dispute. Students stage nationwide protest seek end to federal government ASU dispute. Barricade entrance to federal secretariat here in Abuja. Urge government to honor agreement with union. Federal government ASU resume talks today. And of course, the last rider to the story, we are tired of government promises, says union. And union, I mean the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. Mr. Atekoji, what do you make of this story? Now the students are coming out to say enough is enough. And there were protests in some state capitals across the country yesterday.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And education is a very critical sector. And it's very unfortunate that the issue of ASU strike keep occurring to the extent that it's already, to the extent that it has damaged the regional standard. In fact, in my own personal assessment of what students are doing to compare the federal government to yield to agreement between ASU and the federal government, the students themselves are not even doing enough.
Okay.
But they are supposed to be on the street every day. Because education under the United Nations is right. Exactly. And not a privilege.
Exactly.
These people that are in the office, sitting on their armchair in the office, calling for one policy or the other that is not working, were the people that benefited from free education in those days. But I want to remind you that even at my age, I benefited from free education at the primary school in 1976. When I was taken to primary school, the desk was free, textbooks were free, notes were free, pencils, all these were given to us free of charge, and it encourages us, it pulls us out to make ourselves available for education. So people who benefited from the government, from that free system, are the ones destroying our education today. And it's very, very important. Now, what is that? That government cannot come to compromise with us. My daughter in the university, she's supposed to be in the 300 level now. She's still in first semester, 200 level, and she's back home.
That's 1.5 years backward.
Backward. So what a tragedy. What a tragedy. I will say God, as a very bogus economy, we don't have money or enough resources to fund our education system. Now that telling us,
and against the background that no nation, popular saying that no nation can, develop above the level of its education.
That is it, my brother. You see, Nigerian youths are very intelligent, and if a conducive environment is provided for them and the necessary education is given to them, they are stars. That's why where there is this conducive environment in other climes, you see them, reaching the zenith of their professional career. Exactly. So what are we talking? Why are we undoing ourselves? How are we undoing ourselves? So it's very sad. This time I remember the issue of education is very sad. What brought me here today was as a result of education.
Exactly.
So when you rob the younger generation of this standard of education, You are jeopardizing the future and putting the country at a risk.
But let me also ask you this question. If you actually blame the government for its inability to resolve this issue after a longer time, now, don't you also think that ASU is asking for too much, or nothing can be too much for education, not development?
No, it can be too much. But where we have a catalog of agreements, if the government is able to fulfill,
And they signed those agreements under duress.
yes,
So you are bound to
exactly.
actually fulfill.
So if the
inside of
government is
that
even able to fulfill 80% of this agreement, the 20% can be waived. I don't know the ASU was complaining about the IPPIS or something like that. The government want to introduce the IPI in order to sanitize the payment process, which is good. But apart from that, what of other sectors? And some of the allowances, stipends, and emolument that they are asking for are those things that are legally put together for them, as in like a research, what they call it, research, yes, grants and other things. So the government should be able to meet up. That is how we see. Let them close other openings where there's financial hemorrhage and freeze our education system so we can move forward with our lives.
All right. Now starts on the history of Nigeria's most influential newspaper, The Leadership. Let's go to our sister publication this morning, The National Economy. And on the front page of The National Economy, e-commerce imports killing Nigeria's manufacturing sector, according to an investigation carried out by our sister publication at The National Economy. But I don't actually know if you actually believe in what we put up today on the front page of The National Economy. E-commerce imports killing Nigeria's manufacturing sector.
This is a fantastic job.
Okay.
I went through it and I commend the sister publication. You see, my brother, this is exactly what we're saying. Now, no country, especially a country that is over 50 something years of independence.
Over 60.
Over 60 years of independence. They will still rely on importation. Importation is not bad, but importation should not be wholesale. Everything that we do here is importation. You know, when we people say that killing Nigeria's manufacturing sector, do we still manufacture anything? Do we still manufacture anything? So we are likely dependent on importation, and the importation is massively killing our ability to manufacture anything for ourselves.
Exactly.
And in as much as we continue to heavily depend on importation, there's no way this country will move forward. So we need that leadership that will stamp its feet and say, look, we're not going to import anything again. If people are to suffer for a particular goods in one way or the other for a time, but by the time we start manufacturing on our own, it will boost our economy beyond imagination. Any financial policy or economic policy at that level will function well. You will see job coming. You see,
And I also think that, earlier when we were discussing the story on the front page of Leadership about ASU strike and the fate of Nigerians today, you talk about Nigerian students, Nigerian youth being intelligent. Now, talking about importation of e-commerce, we have an intelligent array of Nigerian youth who's, if properly supported, they can do all this.
Exactly. But with this importation now,
we have a lot of fintech traveling in Nigeria.
If they finish, where are they coming? What are they coming to do? It's nothing. They will just sit down and a lot of things will be imported. They have to only consume it.
Then look at Flutterwave, the paystack that was acquired by an American company. Yes. A lot of them are there. Exactly. So if you can support them, I think we don't need to actually import the foreign technology.
Exactly. So what I would say, we must rejig the economy and look at what we can do for ourselves.
Sure.
With our own skill, with our own homegrown ideas, and come up with what is suitable for our environment. After we start doing that, then start looking towards other jurisdictions to come up at night. But other than what I am talking about, nothing will work. And it's not a time for anybody to come and follow us. Let us come out with a realistic master plan. Like Yakugo was last week at one of the events.
Okay.
the governor of Ekiti State event.
Okay, the book launch.
The book launch. Yakuko was talking about abandoning the national development plan. That's where the problem of this country started from. And I agree with you 100%. It's the problem. We must have a national development, and this national development must be followed to the latter. No matter the pressure. Of course, nobody is an island. Other nations will bring their own pressure, but you have to stick to your own master plan. At the end of the day, you have something to offer to the player.
You see, I think the fundamental question should be, do we even have a development plan? If yes, is it achievable, realistic?
So,
when we are able to answer this question, exactly, if we are able to answer these questions, then it shows whether we are going somewhere or not. Remember, before President Buhari, I think sometime last year, unveiled the Agenda 2030, talking about, bringing about 100 million.
All President Buhari's agenda we're talking about, we are coming very, very late. And they are non-workable.
The plan that came before that, this Agenda 2030 is a successor plan to Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, ERGP. Yeah. Now, when that one was, rounded up, they didn't tell us
how to what extent.
Yes, the feedback. There was no feedback. Then they told us this is a successor plan, Agenda 2030.
At the point, Nigerians were lost midway.
Exactly.
So, was there any success? Was there the achievement?
Exactly.
What were the achievements?
Where did we stop? Where are we going?
Then going forward.
Exactly.
Where are we going? That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So it's very sad.
Exactly. All right. We need to go on a short break. When we come back, we will continue the discussion. Don't go away.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Inside Nigeria, keeping you informed on what matters.
Welcome back. It's still Inside Nigeria for this Tuesday morning, March 1, 2022. And of course, I'm still with Samson Atekojo Usman, lawyer, public affairs analyst, and a journalist who has been helping us to dissect the leading stories on some of the national dailies this morning. Now, let's go to the third paper on our menu, which is the Punch. On the front page of the Punch this morning, federal government to relieve 2,000 Nigerians. Evacuation begins Wednesday. Ukraine-Russia war. Federal government to relieve 2,000 Nigerians. Evacuations begins Wednesday. Buhari approved funding as federal government tips earpiece, max air, 4 or 5 airplanes to evacuate Nigerian refugees, according to the federal government. Let's see if you can have the front page of the Punch on our screen. All right, what do you make of the story?
Yeah, I think my concern here is the fire brigade approach.
Oh, you think this approach is
Yes,
fire brigade?
yeah, and these are my reasons.
Okay.
You know, the Ukraine-Russia war didn't start all of a sudden.
Yeah, there are pointers.
There are signals
Exactly.
to it. Even when they were moving their equipment close to the border, and there was already a sign that there's going to be war.
So the Nigerian government was never proactive.
They weren't. Because what of the safety of these people? Now, you discover that across Europe, they have placed embargo on some airspace or airspaces.
Yeah.
So, if care is not taken,
Even moving them
will be a
difficult.
problem.
Yeah.
And from what part of Ukraine are they going to be airlifted? That's another thing. You know, the federal government, through the embassy in Ukraine, ought to have evacuated Nigerian citizens
Before now.
Because right in Ukraine, every citizen, every non-citizen in that country knew at that time that Russians are up to something. So they would have evacuated them at that level before it gets to this level. Today now will be the 7th day or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And bringing them at this time, may God help them. That's my prayer for them. But I'm scared. Because sometime 2 years ago, when Donald Trump had issue with Iran, in an attempt for Iranian to flew missile against the Americans.
Yeah.
You remember?
The Canadian airline.
Yeah.
That was brought down mistakenly. And over 200 persons.
Yes, we're working. So that is just my problem.
Now Nigerians
and
are even sleeping on the streets now.
Exactly. And given the fact that the European countries who are not happy with what's happening have already stopped their airspace from allowing a Russian plane to fly around. So nobody will know because anything can happen. That's just my concern now. And I pray that God will help them. But next time, the federal government will be responsive enough
and proactive.
And not to allow the life of our citizens to be so jeopardized in this manner. Now look at the trauma they are passing through as we speak. They say it's tomorrow that they are going to evacuate them. Now between now and tomorrow, you see a kind of trauma that they are passing through. They don't even know whether this will work or not. But you know, some of them may even die as a result of pressure and tension.
And again, we have not seen President Buhari, openly talking about this. All we have seen so far is press statement signed by Malanga Basheru and Mr. Femi Adesina. But just yesterday, took the Speaker of the House of Rep, Femi Gbajabiamila, to meet with one of the state
House Committee of Foreign Affairs
on how to evacuate Nigeria. It was not even that made the revelation that okay, this we start tomorrow Wednesday.
Even the Minister of Foreign Affairs here in the year.
He was asked a question, and you saw the video trending, and he just shy away, just like that.
Exactly.
For me, that shows to some extent irresponsibility.
That's it.
Honestly speaking.
That's it. Our lives have been in danger there. And as a Minister of Foreign Affairs, you should be the first person to speak on foreign issues. I said, look, this is the plan that we have for you. When you say something out there, they hide you there. It will cool down tension. So it's very unfortunate and it's very sad, the situation that we find ourselves at this time, particularly our citizens in Ukraine. And even in Russia, as we are talking now, they haven't talked of evacuating our citizens in Russia. Remember the NATO. NATO want to come in as we speak. And if NATO comes in, anything can start happening to Russia.
All right, Mr. Samson, let's quickly pause with this Ukraine-Russia story to go back to education, talking about the ASU strike and the student protests across Nigeria yesterday. I'm being joined by leadership education correspondent Henry Tiomba. Henry, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bode.
All right.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. I see you on the street,
as we speak now, the union and the federal government are set to meet today again to continue with the discussion over the lingering strike that have been disrupting the academic system in the country. And the situation is not funny in the country as students have been protesting yesterday they attacked the Federal Minister of Education. They accused the Minister of neglecting the standard of education in the country. And they are vowed to continue with the protest until ASU strike ends, until the federal government and ASU bring a permanent solution to the lingering strike over the years. So right now, the situation is not funny in the country, and the students, they have continued to continue with the strike. So let's hope that the meeting with the federal government today will come at a round table whereby the situation, there will be a solution to the problem to help the students go back to their classes.
All right, Henry, I think we have been also joined by the University of Abuja branch of ASU, the chairman of the University of Abuja, Kasim. Kasim, I don't know if I'm right. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. You're welcome.
All right. Dr. Kasim, I don't know if you have seen the front page of Leadership newspaper this morning, but let me quickly show you what we have on the front page of our newspaper this morning before I start asking you some questions. You can see what we have. Students, university students yesterday staged protest nationwide seeking end to the disagreement between you and federal government, which has caused the Nigerian students a lot of discomfort. Now, Dr. Kasim, when are we going to see the end to this dispute once and for all?
Thank you very much. We hope to see the end of this saga. Academic Staff Union of University, as we are concerned, were called to join this strike by the federal government. Why am I saying so? The inability of the federal government to attend to all issues since the MOU was signed. And they deliberately refused to honor the agreement. And to us, we're saying enough is enough for the deceit, enough is enough for the decay in the university system, enough is enough for us as an intellectual of the nation to be cajoled in so many issues on which it affects our lives, affects the system where we work to, and affect the generality of Nigerians. And that is why we actually come up and give this rolling strike as a call from the federal government. If by tomorrow federal government thinks otherwise and made a U-turn and attend to this issue judiciously, as it were, then we have no cause for our National Executive Council to reconsider their position and suspend the strike.
All right, Dr. Kasim, let me also ask you, a lot of people believe you are also not considerate, given the fact that we have challenges with our financial resources. So let me have your take about some people's feeling.
I don't think you are even fair to our union by asking this question. Because let me be honest with you. Let me be honest with you. Far back to 2009, the only agency of the government that even the condition of service have not been reviewed is Academic Staff Union of University, the people working in the university system. And let me be honest with you again. Because of all these issues, promotion arrears, third-party deduction brought even in a countdown.
Hello, Dr. Kasim Umaru. All right, so we've lost Dr. Kasim Umaru, the chairman, Academic Staff Union of Universities, University of Abuja, a branch here in Abuja, who has been speaking with us. We don't know if we are able to establish the connection, but we'll continue the discussion with Dr. Kasim Umaru, chairman, Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, University of Abuja, a branch. Well, he didn't hear my question very well. I was not the one saying ASU isn't or wasn't considered. I said some people have the feeling. So I'm just a messenger conveying some people's feeling to him, and also for him to respond. Okay, we have established connection with Dr. Kasim Umar. Okay, Dr. Kasim, you can continue with the thought.
Yes. I'm not saying whoever has that opinion is left to the person. But however, we should know that even the strike in the system affect us. We have our members that are students, we have our wards as students, we have our children in the same university. But however, we cannot fold our hand and see the decay continues. And we're saying that enough is enough. Federal government will set up a committee to negotiate with us. We will sit down, we'll come into a compromise and agree. And they will give a time lag on all the issues. The time lag, by so month, we are going to do so thing. By so month, we are going to do it. And after 1-2 years, nothing has been done. So which alternative do you have? And the only alternative they know, like for instance, the same federal government complained of corruption in the system. We went on strike before visitation panel was set up. We are on strike again before the white paper will come out. Which kind of a government is that? Which kind of country is that? So the only language they understand is strike.
Now,
And,
as a
and
result
if
of
you're
the,
and if you're talking of financial implication of government, which they have government been sincere to Nigeria, there is financial problem, and the salary of national assemblies is increasing every day. And we have financial problem. Then you abandon the educational sector because yes, you have financial issues that you cannot attend, you can't educate your people.
all right, Dr. Kasim, let me tell you that as a product of Nigeria tertiary education, I quite agree with all your demand because these issues are not today. They started long time ago, so I quite agree with all your demand. You know, the fund to revitalize the university system, your own end allowance, their money, they are due to you, they are your rights. I quite agree with your demand. But now let me ask you about the fate of the Nigerian students. They have been at home for some time now, and they say cumulatively your strike, I think since 1999, can be somehow to be for about 4 years now, 4 years, cumulatively, 4 years. If we are to add all the time you have gone on strike, you get about 4 years, minus in the Nigerian tertiary education. Now, the implication for Nigerian students, do you also have feelings for them?
Yes, we are feeling for Nigerian students, and we are appealing to them, let them understand with the situation, and they are stakeholders in the system. We understand. We have our own world. We have students that are dear to us. And in fact, most of the times, we are even, in fact, the little resources we have, we spend it on them. And at the end of the day, they just have to understand with the plight of the student and let them put more pressure as far as I'm concerned. Let the government come up and do the needful, and let us have this issue resolved once and for all. I sympathize with them.
All right, finally, your meeting with the federal government will resume today. What should we expect as, you know, ordinary Nigerians? What should we expect from these two parties?
Yes, the Nigerians should call on the federal government to do the needful. And the only thing that they can use to do the needful this time around is to have a free mind and go into this negotiation and do justice by attending to the issues raised. And by the time this thing is done, the National Executive Council will reconvene and process it further, and they will do the needful. So the expectation should surely lies at the table of federal government.
All right. All right. We wish you the best of luck and thank you for joining us this morning. Dr. Kasim Umaru, Chairman, Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, University of Abuja branch. Many thanks to you, and we hope to see you again.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. That was Dr. Kasim Umaru, Chairman, ASU, University of Abuja branch, who has been talking to us on the state of things in the federal government ASU dispute. Now, I don't know if you have anything to say before we continue where we stopped.
Yeah, you know, he mentioned the promotion areas.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in the Federal Ministry of Education, we have the minister, we have the AUSEC director this, director that.
Exactly.
What are they really doing? So, or else should the National Universities Commission take over, maybe through an amended act, take over the welfare component of the education sector? What do we do? Because like you said, and as is displayed, they've gone on strike severally.
Yeah.
And cumulatively, like say, put it together,
about 4 years.
4 years enough to have a degree.
Yes.
So automatically, we are not getting it right. And I don't see anything good coming out of it, given the antecedent of the present managers of our education system, as it were. Okay, the 1 month is just a warning strike. Between now and the 1 month,
Nothing happens. It will be indefinite.
It will be indefinite. It will be indefinite. And you know, this union, this ASU union, you see, the government ought to have understand the psychology of ASU by now. These people, they can surprise you. Let's, try to put your acts together and make sure that you cohesively work, harmoniously work with this association. Because these people, if they are evil, they are necessary evil.
Exactly.
But there's nothing you can do.
Exactly.
Because the future of this country lies in their hands. Now, some of these students that are back home, before the end of this 1 month, some of them will end up in cell. Some of them will end up in correctional center. Some of them will end up on the highway as armed robbers.
Social vices and
that's it.
But who is to blame for that?
Who is to blame?
They found themselves.
So, to that extent, the federal government should, at all costs, as the discussion is ongoing, reach a compromise and let them put an end to this. Because they are entering the election era.
Exactly.
So this could also be used could be used against them.
Could be the one
that
of
they were not able to manage
here.
Yeah, they were not able to manage the educational system.
Okay. All right, let's go back to the front page of the Punch where we stopped before we connected with the ASU chairman from University of Abuja. I don't know if you still have something to say before we go to the next newspaper about Nigeria, about the federal government enlisting 3,000 Nigerians.
Yes, like I was saying before we digress, now the government is focused on evacuating 2,000 Nigerians from Ukraine. What of Nigerians in Russia? What of Nigerians in other endangered countries?
Around that
around
zone.
them? Because Putin said, any country that join NATO today will face their strike.
The consequences.
Face the consequences. And he has already put his nuclear military on alert.
Yes,
so they can go and spray chemical. That's what the man said.
Oh, the whole of this is unnecessary.
So the European countries, Nigeria should be very, very sensitive enough to see that citizens in other European countries should be on alert. If there's any sign, they should quickly evacuate them. We need them back, our brothers and our sisters. We want to see them alive. We don't want their corpse to be brought back to us. We want to see them coming so that we can receive them at the airport and welcome them back home.
All right. Let's go to the last newspaper on our menu this morning, the Daily Independent. On the front page of Daily Independent, Governor's Minister protests against draft electricity bill. Governor's Minister protests against draft electricity bill. It's illegal to treat Federation as single electricity jurisdiction, according to Nigerian Governors Forum. A minister, of course, Minister of Power, says provision diminish powers of his office as coordinator of the power sector. I know you are familiar with this story.
Yes.
As we speak, there is a draft electricity bill before the Senate.
Yes.
Due for consideration.
Yes.
But the governors are protesting. The Minister of Power is protesting.
Yeah.
So is this about them or about Nigerian people?
You see, what about that? There was a public hearing at the Senate yesterday about this.
Chaired by the Senate Committee Chairman on Power,
yes.
And former governor of Benue State,
Yes.
Gabriel Suswan.
Yeah. So, and the whole idea of that draft bill is to make the electricity sector a single entity to be controlled by one person, as against the unbundling. Remember, it was unbundled by the past.
About electricity distribution, Kano electricity, Kaduna electricity distribution, Lagos.
Yeah. And the idea of the unbundling at that time was to make the running of electricity easier for the managers.
Less cumbersome.
Less cumbersome at the component level. Then, so many years down the line, we're not seeing any improvement. Or maybe you have 24-hour constant electricity in the house.
For where?
Okay, even at that is considered easier to manage. We are not seeing anything. Then the drafters of this do not came up with an idea that they want to lump everything together. And to know, what are we talking about? I grew up to meet NEPA, Nigerian Electricity Power Authority. It didn't work. They changed the nomenclature to Power Holdings
Company of Nigeria.
It didn't work. Now we have so electricity distribution company and sort of things. It's still not working.
Many discos and many dancers.
Exactly. You see, it's still not working. Now, government it's not turning around again. So now, okay, let us bring this together under a single entity. Because that is what I deduced from that. I read it.
Exactly.
I read it well. It's not
a centralized power system.
Yeah, all this one are installed by the governors.
And the Minister of Power.
And the Minister of Power. Okay. Because it's like you are carrying a body on your head and you are bringing more body to add. It's not done.
Which will reduce efficiency.
Yeah, exactly.
And service delivery.
Exactly. And before you know it, those who invested in the electricity distribution at various companies right now, what is their fate? Have they looked at that agreement? Or they want to breach the agreement and cause more problem again? So that is another thing. So going forward, those that are behind this idea are not getting it. It's not in the interest of Nigeria. Probably they have their own ulterior motive. I have said this in this studio before. And the problem we have with policy making in Nigeria today is that every policy is embedded with surreptitious mind, with a personal
motive.
Yes. If the
public interest.
Yes. If the policy is not linked with their personal interest to protect Israel, that's the people that we have. And we wouldn't want, because electricity is very critical to the national development of country.
Exactly.
That's why the fact that we're not getting it right. We should strive to get it right at all costs. Yeah. Not the other way around, as they're trying to introduce. There's something to this. And for even the government saying it is illegal to treat the federation as a civil jurisdiction. I don't think from the constitutional point of view it is. But for the marriage of convenience, it's illegal. For me, that's my
speaking as a lawyer.
Exactly.
So these contentious bill actually remind me of the water resources bill.
Good.
Which is in limbo now.
Yeah.
This also reminds me of that. And I think it's high time we begin to look at lawmaking from the prism of national development, public good, public interest, not ulterior motive like you said.
And again, let me quickly add, that yesterday's public hearing has sent out a clear message.
Okay.
So lawmakers should not do anything funny when it comes to, because public hearing is part of the legislative process.
Exactly. Where
from there they'll be able to infer the position of this. So they should take that yesterday's submission very, very seriously.
The position of the majority.
The position of the majority. When it comes to the chamber debate, so let it form part of that decision. But anything contrary to what was on yesterday, I don't think it will be heavy enough for us.
We hold this concern with listening to Voice of Reason. Many thanks to Atekojo Samson Usman, lawyer, public affairs analyst, and journalist with the Daily Post for joining us this morning. We hope to see more of you.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. My name remains Bode Badebo. Make a time with us tomorrow for the midweek edition of Inside Nigeria. We are Winifred Obebo. We'll be holding forth. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.